Matthew.
I'm happy to take questions. I might not be able to answer them, but Nick?
Matthew Nick Brooks, thank you for that. Just a quick question on the independence of auditors, since we're, well, let's say it is a key issue. Could you expand that, please? What's your definitions, what you're looking for, what shouldn't be there as well, what should be there?
I wish Howard was in the room. Howard looks after group auditors. All right, I mentioned a couple of the things that concern us. One of them, as I mentioned, is around if you've been involved with the fund through the year in various different ways, that raises questions about your independence. How are you taking a fresh look at it if you've been involved somehow in the accounts through the year? One of the things I didn't mention that we're beginning to see also is some products where people are saying, don't come to us once a year for your annual audit and pay this big fee. Just pay a little fee through the year, monthly, and we'll do X, Y, and Z for you, including the audit. Now I'll look at that and say, how are you independent? If you're actually managing the fund for them effectively, or the accounts, how are you actually an independent auditor of the accounts? So that concerns us. Yeah, that's probably the thing.
Thank you.
Rob, do you have one?
Yes, Matthew. This issue of ECPI, executive income, pension income, and incorrect calculations of losses, with regard to trustees understanding their obligations, it seems to me with regard to that, very few trustees who will be able to make those calculations themselves. So is there some encouragement in that case to seek advice of a tax agent, or because that's a fundamental issue because it is technical requirements and understanding from trustees of their obligations as distinct from making calculations. So
A little bias on that. So I'm a lawyer, not an accountant. For the sums, I'm going to an accountant, so I'd say to other people I'd be recommending that.
Yeah. So the ATO, I mean, in terms of it's just picked up as an incorrect issue, does the ATO take that position to seek advice from tax agent?
I'd say if you can't do the calculation yourself, get professional help. You know, it's like calling a plumber. Call a plumber. Okay, sorry, we had someone back first.
I was driving through Sydney the other day and noticed that self-managed super funds purchasing property was being spoofed on bus shelters.
Yeah, one of my people saw it at the Melbourne show, and I had a vision of the show bag. You go away with a property in an SMSF. Anyway.
I was wondering what the split between the various different regulators is of getting on the front foot, because you know you've got a problem child when it's being advertised on bus shelters.
Yes, the regulators know we have a problem child, and we're looking at it.
So split between ASIC and the ATO, who's trying to do what in this space? Because from a practical point of view as advisors, they turn up on our doorstep and say it's easier. I saw it at the bus stop.
Yes. Now, part of this is that it falls between the different regulators. We have different responsibilities. So the first step we're doing, of course, is to be talking to each other to see what we're seeing and to see what we can do about it and trying to act jointly. As far as what we're going to do about it, I'd say brush this space on that one too. Sorry, there's a question there.
Oh, you should use the phrase, a worrying number of trustees have little understanding. Could you give some sense of what sort of scale there is? And also in terms of the reference to fraud, we've got a number on that. And is it growing in sort of in correlation with the increasing number of SMFs, or is it growing faster? You see signs of overseas involved? Just sort of give some sense of...
Sorry, I don't actually have any numbers on that.
So it's sort of more just the feedback.
Yeah, it's kind of the feel. Now, again, when I said it, so taking the first point around a worrying number of trustees who don't understand their obligations, I did mention that we only get controversial reports around at 2%. We think that you're talking at least 85 to 95% of trustees do it right. Now, the number left, how many of those just don't understand or not? I don't have numbers for that. No.
Do you have holidays? How many, fact-finding missions to public locations?
Yeah, we'll be working up some numbers for our use on that, I think. Yeah.
Do you have a feeling for some of those measures that the previous government announced that were enacted, that were going to give ATO additional powers like penalties and penalising people there a feeling about whether those measures would come back in under the new government?
I have no feeling on that, I have no information on that as to what the government wants yet. We will certainly be supporting the differentiated penalty regime, because we think that's an important part of our compliance toolkit, if you like. Because currently we have the ability to do nothing other than say, look, this is how you should get it right next time, or make it non-compliant. Which has, it's kind of like the sledgehammer of nothing. So we see that as a very important way to try and be able to properly regulate the sector, but we have no idea what the government thinks yet. Okay. And as far as all the other measures, again, it's still don't know.
So Matthew, a related issue that you went through the activities or actions that the tax office has taken in relation in the 12-13 years to 150 SMSFs non-compliant, 440 disqualifications, 70 SMSFs wound up, 513 enforceable undertakings. And my reaction to that is that it's positive, the undertakings, it's an action that can be taken rather than making the funds non-compliant. Look at this enforceable undertaking, so that it's not a negative.
No, that's not a negative. That one's a positive. The rest is the negative. Yeah. Sorry, maybe I should not wrap that in the same sentence. Yeah. Okay.
Just a question on fraud, and one of the comments you made earlier before the fraud was we encourage you to contact you if you find something wrong. I'd like to know how. We've got a major fraud that happened to a client by a previous advisor, previous accountant. We've tried to report that to everybody and no one wants to know about it. The people have lost most of their savings. We've tried even the tax practitioners board because of us tax agents as well, and they're not interested because it happened before March 2010. These people have lost all their money, and there's still some left in the fund, and we've got this non-compliance problem to deal with. It's easy to say whenever I hear people like you talk, you tell us to contact you, but where and how? When all we get is call centre people who don't know what we're talking about, and if we go through the complaints area, we get relationship managers who don't know how to escalate it. So it's easy to say contact us, but when it's a major problem, how and when?
All right. Part of the problem with that sort of situation is you've got some things that come to the tax office, the non-compliance side. The fraud side is it comes down to a police action in certain ways.
Yeah.
Some of it comes under, won't come to the tax practitioner board because it predates their powers. Some will fall to ASIC. So what I can say on the non-compliance side of the tax bit is Picardo. Okay?
So I can report to you and
You tell me
because
about
we
it.
don't want the rest of their funds, non-compliant funds. We don't
So
know.
basically,
Okay.
on the non-compliance side of
That
things,
helps me. How does it help the general tax practitioner when they can make decisions? I can give you a name to
basically, okay. All right.
Maybe one last question. Just a brief one. You mentioned that audits potentially developing offshore to the efficacy level. Is it the same sort of thing if administration is potentially offshore? Because sometimes people overseas might try and offer their services, and we've had it in our office. We haven't felt comfortable with it. Do you have any thoughts on that too?
Yeah, anything around offshoring related to the administration of SMSF concerns us because it's outside our jurisdiction, which means that we can't police it, if you like. So yes, it worries us. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much.